There's a reason your reality feels familiar, even when you try to change it. No matter how much you shift your mindset, life keeps looping. But it's not your thoughts holding you back. It's something much deeper, something entangled. There's a principle in quantum physics called entanglement, and it's one of the most mysterious and fascinating phenomena ever discovered. Two particles, once connected, become permanently linked in a way that transcends space and time. Change one, and the other responds instantly, even if it's on the other side of the universe. Einstein himself called it spooky action at a distance. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't just about subatomic particles. It's about you. You, as consciousness, are also entangled. Not just with people, but with timelines, versions of yourself, identities, emotional signatures, and even belief systems. And many of those entanglements are no longer aligned with who you're becoming. Yet they're still active, still influencing your vibration, and therefore, still shaping your reality. Let that sink in. You might be unknowingly entangled with the wrong timeline. A version of reality that matches your past, not your potential. A version that keeps pulling you back into the same loops, because at a quantum level, you haven't fully released the connection. And because entanglement operates beneath thought, you can't simply decide your way out. You have to shift the signal. Let's bring this out of theory and into your life. Have you ever experienced an emotional memory so strong that it felt like the past was happening all over again? That's entanglement. Have you ever felt drawn to a situation you know isn't good for you, but the pull is magnetic? That's entanglement. Or have you tried to manifest a new life, only to find yourself back in familiar struggles? That too is entanglement, a vibrational bond between who you were and the version of reality that matches it. You see, the quantum field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are connected to. That includes the unspoken, energetic connections you carry, old heartbreaks, identities based on pain, unresolved wounds, outdated beliefs that once kept you safe. These are not just memories, they're threads, and they're active. And here's the key. The field is always reflecting your entanglements, which means, even as you visualize your dream life, if you're still energetically bonded to the version of you who doesn't believe it's possible, that bond takes precedence. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because the field is loyal. It reflects what's most consistent in your vibration, and entanglements are often the most consistent signal you carry. So the real question becomes, who or what are you still entangled with? This might sound heavy, but it's actually liberating. Because once you become aware of the bonds, you can begin to release them. Not by forcing, not by avoiding, but by observing, and then re-choosing. Because entanglement isn't permanent, it's vibrational, and vibration can be shifted. In the next part of this journey, we'll go deeper into how these vibrational threads were formed, how they create reality loops, and how you can begin to identify exactly which timeline you're still bonded to. Because once you do, something extraordinary happens. You create space. And space is what allows the quantum field to reorganize around a new signal, the one that actually matches your expansion. So don't look away. The truth is, many of the limitations in your life are not yours, they're just echoes of old bonds. And the moment you recognize them, you gain the power to break the invisible contract and collapse the wrong timeline for good. This isn't about cutting cords with people, it's about cutting cords with frequencies, and that shift changes everything. Most people assume they're stuck because they made a wrong decision, missed an opportunity, or lacked discipline. But what if the real reason has nothing to do with your actions, and everything to do with the unseen threads you're still carrying? Quantum entanglement at its core is about shared information fields. When two particles become entangled, their states are no longer independent. Even separated by galaxies, they respond as one. Now imagine this not just with particles, but with moments of your life. Emotional events, decisions, identities, beliefs. Every time you experience something deeply emotional, you imprint a vibrational signature into the field. If that moment carries intensity, trauma, fear, attachment, longing, it often entangles with your energy system. That memory doesn't just stay in your brain, It becomes embedded in your frequency. This is why certain feelings resurface even when there's no logical trigger. It's not memory, it's resonance. You're still connected to a vibrational node from the past. And the quantum field, that invisible matrix responding to your state, continues to echo that frequency back to you, because the field doesn't discriminate between past and present. It only responds to now. And if your now is still entangled with an old timeline, the reality you receive is a reflection of that loop. Think of your life like a song playing in the background. You may be trying to write new lyrics, but if the melody is still tied to a sad or disempowered rhythm, it doesn't matter how inspiring your words are. The frequency dominates. In quantum terms, the observer effect shows us that what you observe collapses into reality. But what most people forget is this: you don't observe from thought alone. You observe through entangled frequency. You see, we often carry energetic bookmarks that tell the field what we're still tethered to. An ex-partner you haven't fully released, a failure that reshaped your identity, a belief passed down through family that you never questioned. These are not just stories. They are energetic entanglements, and they emit a signal. Here's the subtle part. You can consciously believe you've moved on while your frequency is still playing an old pattern. And that disconnect creates resistance. You might feel like you're trying hard to shift, but something unseen is slowing you down. That something is your entangled self pulling from the other end of the thread, a version of you that's frozen in a past timeline, still looping, still active. And because time, in the quantum view, is non-linear, the past isn't behind you. It's parallel, it's accessible. And unless you retune the frequency, it keeps merging into your present. Let's bring this to life. Imagine you had a moment in childhood where you felt unsafe being fully seen. That moment created an energetic signature. It's safer to stay invisible. That belief didn't stay in the past. It became part of your vibration. And even now, as an adult trying to be more visible, more confident, more magnetic, the field still reads that signal. You're still entangled with that moment. You're broadcasting, "I want expansion," from your mind, but I fear visibility from your field. The result? Stagnation, mixed signals, repeating lessons. This is how entanglement creates reality loops. It locks you into feedback patterns where the same situations, people, and feelings keep showing up with new faces, but the same energy. Until the entanglement is dissolved, your vibration remains predictable. And the quantum field? It responds to predictability, not potential. Here's the paradox. Most people try to change their life by setting new goals or affirming new beliefs. But if those intentions are layered on top of entangled energy, they don't broadcast clearly. The frequency is distorted. It's like trying to tune into a new station while your radio is still picking up static from the old one. The field can't hear a fragmented signal. It responds only to coherence. In the next phase of this journey, we'll explore how to identify these entangled frequencies in your own life. Because once you see the pattern, you can shift the source. We'll reveal the signs, emotional, physical, and energetic, that show you're still attached to an outdated timeline. And more importantly, how to begin the process of collapsing it. Not through resistance, but through realignment. Because here's the truth. You are not the version of you who experienced the wound. You are the version who gets to release it and create something new. One of the most powerful things you can do on your path of quantum awakening is to recognize the symptoms of vibrational entanglement, the signals that show you're still connected to an outdated version of reality. Because once you see the pattern, you can stop being ruled by it. And that's the moment the timeline begins to shift. So how do you know you're still entangled with a reality that no longer serves you? Let's start with the emotional level. If you feel stuck in patterns that keep repeating, emotionally, relationally, or situationally, that's the first clue. You might notice that no matter how many changes you make externally, internally the same cycle continues. The faces change, the jobs change, the places change, but the feelings don't. You keep reliving versions of the same story. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. That's entanglement in action. Now look at your emotional triggers. Are there specific themes that consistently pull you into reactivity, even when you intellectually know better? That's another signal. Because entanglement lives in the nervous system. When you're bonded to an old timeline, your body remembers it before your mind does. You get triggered not by what's happening now, but by what it reminds your system of. This creates what we call emotional echoes, energetic aftershocks from past experiences that continue to ripple through your present. Until they're released, the field interprets them as part of your current vibration. Another sign, looping thoughts that don't match your conscious desire. If you find yourself imagining worst-case scenarios, sabotaging ideas before you even try them, or feeling a strange discomfort when things start going well, that's not a mindset issue. It's an entanglement issue. Your system is still tethered to a timeline where things didn't work out, where you were abandoned, or where success felt unsafe. And until you disconnect, those energetic bookmarks distort your internal compass. Let's take it deeper. One of the most subtle, yet powerful indicators of quantum entanglement is the sensation of déjà vu in emotional form. You're not repeating events, but you're repeating states. That feeling of "I've felt this before," even in a completely new context, is often the echo of an old vibrational thread still running in the background. It's your system trying to resolve an unfinished frequency by attracting a new version of the same situation. This is also why healing work that focuses only on the mind often doesn't stick. You can reframe your beliefs, journal every day, repeat affirmations, but if your energy field is still entangled, the change doesn't fully land. The quantum field is not reacting to what you say, it's reading your signal. And the signal is layered. Thought is just one layer. Emotion, embodiment, and energetic imprint are deeper layers, and that's where entanglement lives. Another key symptom is time distortion. When you're entangled with the wrong timeline, you often feel out of sync with your life. Opportunities feel delayed. Time either drags or speeds up unnaturally. You might feel like you're behind, like everyone else is moving ahead while you're in a holding pattern. That's not failure. That's a sign you're not aligned with your true trajectory. You're still orbiting around a frequency that belongs to a different you. And let's not ignore the physical. Your body is the most honest instrument you have. Chronic fatigue, tightness in the chest, unexplained heaviness, or even subtle tension in the heart space can all be somatic signatures of entanglement. Because these energetic threads aren't just concepts. They live in the nervous system, in the subtle body, in the cellular memory. Now here's the shift. Identifying these signs isn't meant to create fear. It's to awaken awareness. Because the moment you realize a pattern is energetic, not personal, you regain your power. It means the loop isn't your fault. It's just your frequency. And frequencies can be tuned. In the next section, we'll go beyond awareness and into realignment. You'll discover how to begin disentangling from timelines that no longer serve you, not through struggle but through vibrational precision. Because the field isn't judging you, it's just mirroring you. And the moment your signal changes, so does what the universe reflects back. So if you've felt stuck, looping, or strangely drawn to your past, you're not broken. You're just entangled. And that can change. Fast. Now that you're beginning to see the signs, you might be wondering, what actually happens when you release an entanglement? When you cut the thread that's keeping you attached to the wrong timeline? The answer isn't just emotional relief. It's quantum reorganization. The moment you consciously begin to release an old vibrational bond, the field responds. Not because you forced something, but because you created space. And space in the quantum world is everything. Without it, the field can't deliver a new signal, because it's already full, echoing the one you've been entangled with. But when you cut the energetic thread, the field has no choice but to mirror the shift, and often it does so instantly. Here's what that looks like. You might feel a sudden emotional lightness, like something unexplainable has lifted. You might notice synchronicities, messages, even opportunities emerging in ways that feel aligned with a version of you that previously felt far away. Why? Because by disentangling from the outdated version, you've stopped sending mixed signals. You're no longer saying, "I want to evolve," while staying magnetically bound to a self that fears that very change. The shift begins not with action, but with vibrational clarity. This is why rituals, visualizations, and embodiment work can be so powerful when done with intention. You don't have to figure out the past or relive every wound. What you need is coherence, the decision to close the loop and release the frequency, not the memory, because memories are part of your story. But entanglements are part of your field, and that's what shapes your now. Here's a practice you can try. Sit in silence and bring into awareness a part of your life that still feels emotionally charged, not from a place of analysis, but from presence. Ask yourself, what version of me is still entangled with this moment? And what would it feel like to release that version with love? Visualize that thread, that energetic cord, unweaving itself, dissolving. Not because you're pushing it away, but because you're no longer broadcasting it. You're no longer choosing to stay entangled with a frequency that doesn't match who you are becoming. And in that choice, something extraordinary happens. Your field recalibrates. This is where the science and the sacred meet. In quantum physics, when a system is observed with new information, it reorganizes. In spiritual language, this is the power of release and surrender. The frequency you emit shifts, and because the universe doesn't respond to your words and it responds to your vibration, your reality begins to echo a new possibility. So here's your moment of energetic declaration. A message not just to the algorithm, but to the field itself, that you're ready to release what no longer serves you. And if this message resonates with something deep inside you, if you felt something shift already, we invite you to anchor that shift in the field. Comment below, "I release the thread." Say it, declare it, type it not just with your fingers, but with your frequency. Let this be more than content. Let it be a collapse point, a vibrational mark in your timeline. This isn't about cutting people out of your life. It's about cutting frequencies that no longer resonate with your becoming. It's about no longer being the same energetic signature you were when the pain happened. You're not just healing. You're evolving. You're vibrating on a new timeline. And that requires a different form of connection, one that's no longer based in fear, survival, or scarcity, but in truth, coherence, and presence. In the next phase of this shift, we'll explore how your reality begins to accelerate and reorganize once the thread is cut, and how to stabilize this new frequency so it doesn't collapse back into the old loop. Because the most beautiful part of entanglement is that you get to choose what and who you're entangled with next. And the quantum field, it's already listening. So how do you know the thread has truly been released? How can you tell the shift is real and not just something you hoped would change? When a quantum entanglement dissolves, the field doesn't stay quiet. It responds, immediately. But not always in ways your mind expects. The signs are often subtle, vibrational, even paradoxical, and they show up first inside of you, not outside. The first and most common sign? Emotional neutrality. You revisit an old memory, one that used to sting, trigger, or spiral you, and suddenly, there's no charge. It's not that you forgot. It's that the thread is no longer active. The loop has been closed. What once felt alive in your body now feels distant, almost like it happened to someone else. That's because the energetic imprint is gone. And without that resonance, the field no longer holds it in your present timeline. Then, there's the energetic lightness. This can be felt as a deep exhale from your nervous system, a sense of internal spaciousness. Decisions that once felt heavy or confusing suddenly feel simple. You don't have all the answers, but you trust the flow. You stop asking, "How will it work?" and start feeling it already is. This is coherence returning. This is your system reorganizing around a new signal. You may also notice unexpected shifts in your environment. The universe begins to recalibrate the mirrors around you. People may drop away. Old opportunities lose their appeal. Something you were chasing now feels irrelevant, not because you gave up, but because you're vibrating beyond it. These aren't losses. These are realignments. The field is clearing what matched the old thread so it can make room for what matches the new one. And then, synchronicity. The right message, at the right time. You might hear someone say a phrase that echoes your inner shift. You open a book to the exact page you needed. You feel drawn to places or experiences that pull you forward without fear. These are vibrational confirmations. The universe saying, yes, we heard you. But perhaps the most powerful sign is that your behavior changes without effort. You stop over-explaining. You stop seeking validation. You stop looping in your mind about what they thought, what might go wrong, or whether you're doing enough. Instead, you respond from presence. You speak from your current frequency, not your past fear. This is not discipline, it's alignment. When the thread is cut, your natural state begins to emerge. Of course, some part of you may want to test it, to go back and see if the old trigger still exists. This is normal, just observe. If the charge returns, it's not failure, it's feedback. It simply means there's another layer still entangled, and that's okay. Entanglement unwinds like a spiral, not a straight line. What matters is that you're no longer unconscious to it. This awareness alone puts you in a higher orbit, because you're no longer just reacting, you're recalibrating. You'll also notice a change in your desires. The goals that once came from fear of lack dissolve, replaced by a deeper pull toward authenticity and resonance. You're no longer trying to manifest to escape something. You're manifesting as a natural extension of who you've become. That's the real quantum shift. Not when you get the thing, but when you no longer need it to feel complete. Let this be your reminder. When you cut the cord, the old self loses its grip. But the field doesn't leave you empty. It begins to fill that space with the version of you that was waiting all along. The one who wasn't afraid, who wasn't stuck, who wasn't looping. The you who vibrates at the frequency of truth. And here's the beauty of it all. The moment you begin to trust this new rhythm, the universe meets you with acceleration. Time bends. Growth speeds up. What once felt hard suddenly flows. You begin to feel, perhaps for the first time, that you're no longer dragging yourself through change. You're being carried by it. In the next and final phase of this journey, we'll explore how to consciously choose the timeline you want to entangle with next. Because quantum entanglement isn't something to avoid, it's something to master. And when you do, your entire life becomes a mirror of your most aligned frequency. Now that you've begun to understand quantum entanglement, not just as a scientific mystery, but as a mirror of your inner world, there's one final shift we need to explore. And it might be the most important of all. Once you cut the thread that kept you bonded to a timeline of limitation, fear, or repetition, you create an energetic void. And in the quantum field, nothing stays empty. Something will take its place. The only question is, will it be random or intentional? This is where the real power of manifestation begins. Because quantum entanglement doesn't just explain why you feel stuck. It explains how to move forward, too. It reveals the nature of deep connection. And if you can become entangled with pain, fear, or false identities, you can also become entangled with joy, purpose, expansion, and your highest self. Entanglement is not the enemy. It's the vehicle. You were never meant to walk through life detached and disconnected. The quantum field thrives on resonance, and your most coherent, aligned energy naturally seeks out frequencies that match it. This means you get to choose right now what you want to entangle with next. So ask yourself, what timeline am I ready to bond with? What version of reality do I want to become inseparable from? Is it the one where I live in full alignment? Where I speak my truth without fear? Where I stop negotiating my worth and finally trust the pull of my soul? That version exists, and not in the distant future. It exists in the now. It's already vibrating, already calling. And the only step required is to begin matching it, not with willpower, but with energetic fidelity. Here's how to begin that re-entanglement. First, clarity. Get crystal clear on the frequency you want to entangle with. Is it freedom, creativity, inner peace, embodiment? Don't think in terms of goals. Think in terms of states. What do you want to feel every day, regardless of outcomes? Second, coherence. Begin tuning your daily emotional state to that frequency. Visualize not the achievement, but the vibration of already living it. Feel what it's like to wake up in that timeline. What do you do differently? How do you speak? How do you walk through the world? Third, consistency. Entanglement doesn't require perfection, but it does require resonance. The more often you return to this frequency, the stronger the bond becomes. And over time, the field begins to reflect it back, not as wishful thinking, but as mirror. And here's the final secret. You don't have to do this alone. You are already entangled with energies beyond what you can see. The field is intelligent. It's responsive. And when you align with the truth of your frequency, the universe begins collapsing all that doesn't match and expanding all that does. This is what it means to become a quantum creator. To recognize that entanglement is not just physics. It's permission. Permission to become inseparable from your highest self. To vibrate not as someone chasing healing, but as someone already whole, already home, already aligned. So let this be your initiation. If something inside you awakened during this journey, trust it. If you felt chills, clarity, tears, or peace, that was the field responding. That was resonance being remembered. And if you want to keep walking this path, to keep collapsing false timelines and anchoring new ones with clarity, presence, and power, this space is here for you. Subscribe not just to a channel, but to your frequency. This isn't content, it's consciousness. And every time you return, you amplify the signal. The next timeline has already been chosen. The next version of you is already broadcasting. All that's left is to receive it.